everyone, and welcome back to Make Believe Storytime. My name is Beatrice, and today we have another very special interview for you. With this episode, we will conclude our first season of the What Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up series. This 1-hour series finale special is packed full of wisdom, life lessons, and career tips. Today's guest is an award-winning makeup artist specialised in special effects makeup for TV and film, a trained phlebotomist, a business owner, and a published author. Gabriela Heath patiently talks me through how she found herself on all these paths, whilst also sharing some extremely valuable information and tips about these career paths. This interview was recorded in June 2021. Hi, Gabriela. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm super excited to have you here and very grateful that I get to pick your brain.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's a true pleasure.
Awesome. So I don't even know where to start. As I've said to you before, you are an award-winning makeup artist specialized in special effects makeup for TV and film, a trained phlebotomist, a business owner, and a published author. So where do we even begin?
Oh, it's a very long story. Very long story.
I was thinking maybe we start in sort of chronological order, I guess, and start with your makeup artist career first.
Right. So I've got into makeup here in UK, but I was already doing makeup back home. So my mom was a hairdresser, and very often she would ask me to do makeup on her brides because she always found me more artistic than she was. So that was back into in the 90s.
Wow.
So it goes that far back. I think I done my first haircut on a friend, and I must have been like 12 or 14 years old. So that's when I started to cut hair. And dear my dear cousin used to be my subject a lot of times. So he used to get the most wicked haircuts for that time. So whatever I would see on a telly that it was in fashion, I would say, right, you gotta come, I gotta try it out. So yeah, he got a lot of freebies.
Freebies, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best thing.
And I think my first I got into SFX makeup by learning by myself, and it started the same back in Romania when I had a very good neighbor living in the opposite flat, and he got beaten. I don't know, he got in some trouble, and he got in a fight, and following day he was having a date with a girl. And he came to me and he said, "You're crafty with makeup and all that. Can you sort out my face?" So I'm like, "Sure. So let's do a camouflage makeup." So I done a camouflage makeup on him. So this was back in, I think in 2010. No, 2009, something like that, around there. And I covered his bruises, so he had a successful date. And that's when I kind of started into knowing more about camouflage makeup and knowing more in about how to cover certain skin conditions and certain problems in making people feeling comfortable in their skin. And at that time, the only information I would find out about this kind of makeup, it was that Red Cross was doing a training in teaching people how to apply camouflage makeup. But in Romania, lots of people didn't know about it. So that's kind of raised my interest. And when I came back to UK with my family, I went to the library and I asked. I was interested in diseirology, in makeup for the departed people. You know,
right? Yes.
in making, because I already had knowledge into beauty. I was already in a beauty industry here in UK, and I was a qualified nail technician. I was a qualified spray therapist. I done a qualification into I think it was beauty level 2 or something like that. So I was already offering a lot of services, and I said this would be a nice thing to do in getting somebody who died getting ready for the family,
Yeah.
so they still look beautiful and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pretty. And the last image what the family gets is something what they remember forever.
Mm.
But I went to the library and people looked at me like I'm crazy that I'm looking for disearology
Yeah.
books. They didn't know what disearology is. So it was this lady who said to me, "Oh, I don't know what disearology is, but I got this special effects makeup book, and it was, I think, a stage makeup book. How was it called? It was by Yanis Vinta, special effects makeup for film and theater, and it
Mhm.
was another one by Richard Corso, I think, was stage makeup, something like that. So
Mhm.
I took Yanni's book home, and they actually got it in for another library to this library, and I was only available. They can only have it for 3 days.
Oh
So
God, yeah.
I had to photograph the entire book so I can read it at a later date because I had to take it back.
Yeah.
And from there, I found out more about products, about materials. So I already had a good grounding for it, a good base to start because I used to do ceramics. So I'm trained. I'm trained in ceramics. I studied fine arts back in Romania,
I was going
and
to touch on that actually. Sorry to stop you, but
go
I
on.
also saw on online that you went to what I think what we would call a vocational school, which is what I went to as well. But I studied music and I didn't study fine arts, but it was in a similar school. So I was, going
Yeah.
to
So
school.
back then it was like the fine arts high school. Today they
Yeah,
call it college. So because they
yeah,
changed the level of teaching, I suppose. I mean, a lot of
yeah.
things changed since then. So I I worked back home as an art teacher, so I had this good base in molding, sculpting, molding, and running molds. It's just that there were it was the same knowledge but in different materials, and
Hmm.
therefore was my biggest issue in finding out what materials are suitable for what and how to use them. And I couldn't find a lot of information. I didn't have much knowledge in how to use the internet either. So it
Oh,
was
right.
all new to me. I mean, I had my
Yeah.
first phone when I was 25. Come on, you know. And it was difficult. So the people who helped me, it was other artists on who I came across on Facebook, and one in particular was Tony Mandel,
Hmm.
and he prompted me in a lot of directions in finding materials and learning techniques and all that. And he had a tremendous patience with me because I used to annoy him an awful lot. And then he sent me to Stuart Bray, so that's how I met Stuart Bray and we become friends. And now I'm annoying Stuart Bray a lot. And then I studied with Stuart Bray SFX makeup, actually trauma makeup. And
Mhm.
then from Bray, I went and I studied with Kazuhiro Tsuji. I studied aging intensive, but I got into film well before I even studied with them. So it
Right.
was
So tell us about that. I'm curious how you got into film. Yeah.
so I kind of done everything opposite than what you would expect it to be.
Mm.
So I got into film. I don't know. I was searching something on Facebook, and I seen this advert that they were looking for a makeup artist for a student film.
Mhm.
And I applied, and I explained that okay, I've been doing makeup, and I'm self-taught SFX makeup artist, and I showed them my past work, and they gave me a chance. And I went and I done this film, and they were pleased with my work. And one of the actors uh, on that film, he said to me that Pete, yeah, it was Peter. I
Mhm.
can't remember his last name. His name was Peter, and he had this amazing sort of a godlike look, with a long beard and long hair, and he was so beautiful that you can stare at him for forever. And that, the calm face, well, he's amazing, Peter. And he said to me, and I said, you could join our group. We have a group, and we do these fantasy photo shoots. And so we meet like once or twice a month, and you can do whatever you want as makeup. and you can get professional pictures, and you're working with professional models, and it would be perfect for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, tell me more, tell me more. And that's how I got into this group. And the group was called Portrait X, and I think that it's still going on today.
Mhm.
And it was just amazing. We were getting together. It was like probably 30 of us, like makeup
Nice.
artists, models, photographers, and we would choose a subject for that day, something based on a fantasy story. I know, they were like dragons, fairies, witches, or anything you can think of, based on a legend of Olympus, based on legends from the sea, or
Mhm.
God knows, whatever would came to mind, and we commonly decided that that's a good subject, and we can do that, then we would pull it off. So obviously everybody would invest times, materials, products into this thing, and everybody would get something out of it. And the fact that you could work with numerous photographers and different models at the same time, and it cost you nothing, a part of your time and some materials from the kit.
Materials, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I done that for a few years. So that helped me building up a portfolio. And once I built up a portfolio, and I was able to show that what I'm capable of, and things what I can do. Then I started to get jobs. So I would get jobs like in photo shoots or commercials. But my first film was a student film, and that's how it started.
Yeah, and then in parallel, I guess you started working with the people that you were talking about earlier as well, and studying with them and kind of learning more about
Yes,
SFX
so
makeup, right?
it all starts with one person. You need
Yeah.
one person to create a network, and that one person introduces you to other person, and another person to other person, and like this, suddenly you have an amazing network of people who you know, and people,
Amazing. That's
and
amazing.
some people are very loyal, and they will come back to you with other projects.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky. I met very loyal people.
Yeah, yeah, that's extraordinary to think that you started completely as self-taught, like you said, and then you ended up, studying with more people and learning more, but also learning on the job. I think that's incredible. And to think it's so interesting because we never think, I guess, when we are younger, some of the things that we learn, like you were saying that you had a background in ceramics and then you were around your mum and learn how to do hair and makeup just because you kind of fell into it. And then the two of them combined to then, give you this amazing thing that you're doing,
You
which you,
know, my mom, back in the days when my mom was trying to push me to learn hair, I was
Mhm.
like, I don't want to be a hairdresser like you. Oh, come on, I don't want to do this. Why are you putting me to do this? And then she would say, yeah, but your neighbor is more interested in this job than you. Why can't you learn it? So she was like a bit
Yeah,
disappointed that I didn't want to follow her path
yeah,
into doing what she loves to do. And it turned out that I'm doing exactly what she used to do.
yeah,
And everything I learned from her, I'm using it today. Absolutely everything what I learned from my mom,
yeah.
I'm using today. I
That's
mean,
extraordinary.
without the skills what I picked up from her, I probably wouldn't be successful.
Mm, that's
But
incredible.
also the ceramics and the the skills I learned by doing fine arts, and the
Hmm.
knowledge I got by teaching fine arts, they did help an awful lot. Because lots of books here and lots of the courses here, they don't teach you color theory.
The color
And
theory, did you
the
say?
color theory.
All right.
Also, a lot of courses, I'm lucky that I have a beautician background, because a lot of courses, they don't teach you contraindications to makeup,
Yeah. To makeup. Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
yeah, or skin conditions, and how to recognize certain things, a level of sanitization
Yeah.
and disinfection. So I was quite lucky that I didn't go straight into makeup. That I chose to do a lot of other little things before I entered the film industry. And you will be amazed how all of them, they connect together. It's just
Yeah.
like paint by connecting dots, and all
Yeah.
that knowledge. I
Yeah.
mean, all the knowledge from beauty, fine arts, ceramics, sculpting, molding, everything, you use it in hair and makeup.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. I was wondering if now for our younger listeners who may not know exactly what a makeup artist does on a TV or film set, if you could maybe break it down a little bit, like what would be your, one day, for example, in the life of a makeup artist on a TV or film set.
Right, a makeup artist on a film or television show, well, it can cover a whole range of makeup. So from applying, from making the actor looking like he has no makeup, but it's
Mm-hmm.
actually makeup on, or getting them looking like camera ready, so making them look pretty
Mm-hmm.
and beautiful in front of the camera, or turning them into aged
Mm-hmm.
old people, or turning them into monsters, or looking at their worst, or ripping them apart practically.
Yeah.
It's like all wounds, limbs missing, distortion bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and making them looking like they have a skin condition. So we practically bring the vision of the director to the screen
Yeah.
with the help of awful lot of other crew.
Other people and crew. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
So it's all about the teamwork.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we work alongside costume, we work alongside directors, uh, great actors, sound people, lighting very important.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be able to bring our work to look so beautiful on a screen without the proper light and
Yeah.
sound effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just a little, I guess, a personal curiosity. Do you also, because I've seen that you also do hair sometimes,
Yes,
um, not just makeup, right?
yeah, I do hair and makeup.
I guess you do both, or do you just, for example, for one particular project, you'll just do one and then the other, if that makes sense?
I
Or do you do?
it was times when I was required on set just to do hair or
Yeah.
just to do makeup. Um, I find that the industry prefers if a makeup artist has knowledge in doing hair and barbering as well.
Okay.
So you are much more employable if you have
Mhm.
these skills as well, because they don't like to hire additional people. However, is if the makeup is very intricate and it takes quite a bit of a time, then they will hire an additional hairstylist or a
Mhm.
wig master or something like that. But if uh, if the makeup artist can handle it, then they they will take you as a hairstylist as well. So
Well.
you will do everything.
Mhm. Yeah. That's
It's very good to have a multitude of skills on
skills.
set,
Yeah.
because that will give you more chances for getting more work
Yeah.
and
Of
more
course. Of course.
diverse work and more diverse projects.
Yeah, and that this brings back the argument which I really love and I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is that most of the people in our industry are so multi-skilled and like they've got so many
You
skills
would
they
be
can do.
amazed.
We'll come to that in a minute. I've just got one other question before that, because I really want to touch on that because I think that's really important, and it's an important feature of our industry. What you were touching on now, but before that, I was wondering, what's a really fun project you worked on as an SFX makeup artist, like one that springs to mind, something really fun and exciting.
Oh gosh, I think it was working with Twist and Pulse.
Okay.
We were doing it was a film promotion
Hmm.
for Uncle Drew, and I had to turn one of the Twist and Pulse the, members into an old person.
Oh, okay.
So that was really funny. It took a bit of a time. It was me and other two makeup artists, part of my team,
Hmm.
and we turned Ashley into, I think I aged him 50 years.
Wow.
So I applied the bald cap. I applied the bald cap on him. He had a beard and a mustache, and he on the top of the ball cap, I applied again. I hand laid hair, so he looked like he was going bald,
Bold,
and
yeah.
he would have hair like on the sides and a few
Mhm.
strands brushed across, so like very classic look. And they went in a park. So
Mhm.
he pretended he was doing the walk of an old person, and he went into this park, and there was a lot of youngsters,
Mhm.
and the other member of the Twist and Pulse, he started to break dance, and then Ashley, as an old person, he started to break dance, and everybody
Ah,
thought like, hold on a minute, like this is a
yeah.
quite old person, granddad looking, that he started to break dance,
Yeah.
and then he kind of revealed it to the people, like, hold on, actually is Ashley, by
Yeah.
ripping his ball cap apart and pulling the whole thing off. So
Amazing.
that was a really fun project by and we were advertising the film
Mhm.
Uncle Drew.
Right. I wondered if there's also, just if one springs to mind, really, like a really challenging project that you had.
I think is the time when I done another promo, and it was for the Walking
Mm.
Dead series.
Yeah.
Um, I think it must have been like 50 of us, 50 makeup artists.
Wow.
And I was assigned to do the barnacle zombies. And I think we started like 10 o'clock in the night, and 200, no, there were 100 zombies while we were launching into London by 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
So we had to apply prosthetic on a lot of people, and then at 5 o'clock in the morning we would release them, and they went into central London, they went to South Bank, they went on a tube, they went in an awful lot of places. So people, when they would go to work, and they would expect, oh, it's just another day of work,
Yeah, yeah.
they would have zombies jumping out of them from behind the corner. On a tube, there would be like a carriage full of zombies, or zombies would come down on, on the stairs of the tube and on an
Amazing.
escalator, and it got such a good coverage. So we were celebrating the 100 episode of The Walking Dead, and I think we done another one for the series. I think it was series 6,
Mhm.
if I remember well, and it was Events to Scare who hosted it.
Right.
So I was quite lucky to be picked and be part of that, and I was one of the lucky ones that I didn't have to interview for the job either, because I worked previously with them on the Dead Factor. That was very funny as well. Uh, Dead Factor, it was based on X Factor by making a mockery of it with
Oh, wow.
zombies,
Uh-huh.
and it got aired on Fox.
Uh-huh.
And
Amazing.
it was first time when I was asked to do bad makeup, and all this time you are used to cover your traces, so you trick the audience in thinking that is not makeup,
Mhm.
and suddenly you have to do the opposite and making something look with badly applied.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I think that was the most challenging, because you get into a routine, like, right, I gotta cover these piece edges,
Mhm.
I gotta do a good color match so it
Yeah.
blends very well with the skin. And now you are asked to do exactly the opposite, that you have to create this makeup and to look like it was badly applied, and it was actually done by the actor or the person who's playing that character. And
That's amazing.
I had to apply I had to apply Rice Krispies and jam to someone's face. Oh my god! And I was thinking, I can't apply this to this person's face. It's not right. But then the producer said, that's exactly what we want. We want the Rice Krispies glued to this person's face, because it's supposed to look like he done it inside. I'm like, but you're Rice Krispies. And I said, yes, you're Rice Krispies.
Amazing. That sounds like a very fun job again. I think it must be fun in your field. Like you get to do a lot of really cool stuff.
But sometimes we do actually use things which you can find in a kitchen. So if there is something what, especially when you gotta create something what go, the actor needs to take it orally.
Right.
So you might need to create something where it goes inside of his mouth. So you want something, but it tastes nice.
Uh-huh.
So
You mean like
lot of
something like blood, for example? Like if they have to have blood coming out of their mouth, say, as an example?
yes, it has to be mouth safe, or it has to be eyes, safe for the eyes.
Hmm.
Um, I used a lot of things from my own kitchen, to be honest, in
Amazing.
creating makeup. Like recently, I done a makeup which it was supposed to look like acne, and I used polenta and semolina.
Oh, wow.
Um, Other times, if you want to do, for example, a grazed knee, it's I can use coffee granules in creating granules like it would be dirt, and I
Yeah.
can mix it with the blood. So you can pull off a lot of things by using stuff from your own kitchen.
That's great. That sounds amazing. I was wondering if now we could talk a little bit more about what we started earlier to talk about, which was, the fact that most people in our industry work doing multiple jobs or have multiple career paths that they have to juggle, just as you said. And obviously, this seems to be your case too. So I wondered if you could tell us a bit about what you do on the side from being a makeup artist and what made you choose those ventures or those paths.
Well, kind of life threw me in different directions. Uh,
Mm.
Sometimes I had to do things not because I wanted to do them, but because I had to do them.
Fair
Uh,
enough. Yeah.
it's hard when you're in an industry in which you work sometimes 12 hours or longer hours on set, and you have a family as well to look after and to provide for. So I was quite lucky that my husband, he always had some sort of a flexible work schedule, and he
Mhm.
was able to be there when I needed him to be there, and he supported me very much in what I do, because I don't know who else you would put up with me, honestly.
But that's
um
amazing to hear stories like
I
that.
Well, like I said, I start when I moved to UK. A lot of my qualifications wasn't recognized, and
Mm,
I went and I worked as a cleaner for a few years. Then, when I had my son, I worked as a dinner lady in a school. Then I decided, when I realized that after spending 20 years in studying and everything I know values nothing, I said I need to retrain. I need to do something which is accepted here to the standards of living here. So that's when I decided to go into beauty,
mhm.
and then I volunteered for St. John's Ambulance, and I worked with them for about 3 years as a first responder.
Wow.
Then my husband opened a business in electrical. Um, he's an IT consultant, and he's been an IT consultant for the last 30 years. So he would do electronic repairs
Mhm.
like laptops, printers, phones, tablets,
Yeah.
Macs, and anything. So I learned to fix devices and to change screens, and I've been doing that for the last 7 years
Amazing.
alongside my makeup job. And then during pandemic, I realized that again. I I realized that where, like, everything is shut down, and now what are my chances
Mhm.
of getting a job that I need to get out and do something. We opened about 4 years ago. We opened two shops in electronic repairs,
Yeah.
and we were working in that alongside my makeup job.
Mhm.
So I was always having jobs that whatever I do, I can go and work as a makeup artist. And when I don't have work as a makeup artist, I go back to lots of other things.
Yeah.
So dur- during the lockdown, and in the first lockdown, because everything was closed down, that's when I decided that, right, I need to do something, and the only places where you can work is either you go and work in Tesco or Sainsbury's, or you work in a hospital. And stocking shelves, it just didn't sound good for me. As I'm not gonna stock shelves. Is it's not something what exciting me in doing. And I said it's not. I'm the type of person who I need a bit of a mental action,
Yep. Yep.
something to excite my neurons first, so
Absolutely.
then then
You're
I
a
can do the
creative
job.
person as well. You're a
Yes.
creative person as well, and you need that sort of stimulation, I think.
So that's when I decided, I said, right, I'm gonna go medical. And I discovered, well, I knew about phlebotomy from the beauty side of it, you
Yeah.
know. And I said, well, I would do a phlebotomy course. And I said, this is interesting, and you learn more about blood. So
Yeah.
as I'm already working with blood, so how amazing you can learn the real stuff. So I trained as a phlebotomist, and then a few months later, my own GP took me up to work for him.
Wow. That's
And
great.
it was amazing. So I worked for him as a phlebotomist for probably 2.5 months, and after that I opened my own business as a mobile phlebotomist, offering services for the community in my area.
Hmm.
And after that, I trained into COVID vaccination and COVID testing, and uh, I done a COVID supervisor film training for film and TV. So now I can do COVID testing on set.
Yeah, I saw that online, and I thought that's so good because it makes a lot of sense for you to also keep working in the industry, but have another
Yes,
potential
exactly.
role.
So if I don't do makeup, I'm still there on a film set, but
Yeah.
on another position.
And I also think so amazing for me as well, so inspiring to hear the amount of jobs that you've done, and you know the kind of the path that you were on. It's great. I mean, uh, as somebody who's also moved, to another country, who's come from Romania, it's just so inspiring to hear your trajectory, because I think I've gone through that myself. I've still got a long way to go, and it's so nice to see that, it's all worth it, because look, you've got all these things and you're juggling them and you're doing such a great job, and yeah, it's just very inspiring.
It all looks great from outside, but when you're inside, you're thinking like, oh, tomorrow, what's gonna be tomorrow? What do I have to
Yeah.
do tomorrow? Like
Yeah.
you never know. You never know where you are.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I mean, things due to the pandemic, it's so many things happened, and so many things being thrown in a
Mm.
different direction than you expected,
Yeah.
and it made everything more tougher.
Yeah,
But it's all about not giving up.
exactly.
It's all
Exactly.
about not giving up.
And hearing stories that inspire us, I think, is essential and very important, because it makes us feel like, do you know what, if that person can go through that and still manages to, however they do it, but they still manage to do it and keep going, then I can do that too. At least for me, that seems to work. It makes me feel great when I hear inspirational stories. I've got a bit of a fun section now. This one I call This or That.
Go on.
And you can only answer by choosing one of the two options without giving any explanation. Okay.
Okay.
So, do you prefer working in film or TV?
Film.
Okay. Zombies or ghosts?
Zombies all the way.
Period or futuristic hairstyles?
Period.
And when it comes to SFX makeup, less is more or more is more?
Less is more. Always.
Amazing. Great. I also wanted to ask you about, or to talk to you about, your book. For those who are listening, the book is called An Introduction to Special Effects Makeup for TV and Film, and it's been published so far only in Romanian, right? But I
Yes.
know that you're planning on releasing it in English as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm working on it. It might take
amazing.
a bit.
And I was just wondering how this whole venture came about, and if you can also tell us what the book covers and where it can be found. There may be some people who may be interested in purchasing it.
Right, the book can be found on Blurb,
Hmm.
and Blurb is an international website, so it covers awful lot of countries.
Hmm.
Or so you can buy it there in a print version,
Hmm.
and then you can get the digital version on Apple Books.
Hi everyone. I had to jump in and quickly say that since the recording of this interview, Gabriela has published her book in English as well, under the same title, and it can also be purchased on Amazon.
I practically I was down with COVID when this thing came to me. We were down with COVID, and we stayed awful a lot in bed. I mean, we couldn't get ourselves together. Even when we felt better, it was just the exhaustion of it.
Yeah.
Just couldn't. You could. I couldn't get out of bed. So um, when I was succeeding to get out of bed and go downstairs and cook a meal, after about an hour, I would be back in bed.
Yeah.
So I think I spent about 2 months in bed.
2 months.
2 months. I also broke my cartilage. I think because I was my body got so weak.
Yeah.
Regardless that I'm not a thin person, and I'm not fit either. I never broke a bone in my body ever. Um, I think my knee gave in because
Mm.
when I had COVID, I'll be honest, I couldn't stand, so I was crawling. I was
Oh my
crawling up
goodness.
the stairs. I was crawling down the stairs. I would hold onto the banisters to straighten myself up. And because I'm the only one in the house who cooks, so I had friends. I don't have any relative here, so I had some friends who've been cooking for me and doing my shopping. But then I was embarrassed to ask for more help, so I said I have to get myself together somehow and do it by myself. And I was crawling, so my knee gave in. In May, my knee gave in, and I broke my cartilage. And again, I couldn't walk for some period of time till
Was
I
this
succeeded.
this was in 2020, right?
This was in 2020, and staying in bed for so long, obviously I used everything what I could use. Watch on Netflix. I ran out of everything. And I said to my husband, and I said, I wanted to do this from so long, and I'm going to write a book. And he was like, what are you on about? So I'm going to write a book about makeup. And I said, I noticed that in Romania, there are not so much
Yeah.
standards. And I said, and I want to create some standards for makeup.
Amazing.
And I want to teach people that there are much more other products out there than latex.
Yeah.
And that's how it came to me, and that's when I started doing it. So it took me a year to get it out there, and I done it all by myself.
Amazing. So it's self-published.
It is self-published, yes.
Wow.
And the book covers. I was trying to make it for beginners, but to cover kind of everything what a beginner should know, and to start working without going into actually molding things or
Yeah.
sculpting like sculpting pieces.
Yeah.
So it tells you about color theory. It
Yeah.
tells you about contraindications to makeup. It teaches you how to patch test. I found it that a lot of people don't tell you how to patch test, and that is so important because you're putting somebody else's life in danger, but not by not patch testing. Um, it tells you about certain diseases, how to recognize them, what to do in case that you have somebody with a contraindication, how to act and remain professional. Um, it was about how to wash your brushes. Um, then I went into how to build your kit. Don't throw yourself in suddenly buying the most big brands and the most expensive things. It takes time to build a kit, and you can do it smartly.
Hmm.
Then I did cover a range of materials like starting wax, latex, gelatin, silicone, then going a little bit into prosthetics and character makeup. And I'm explaining a bit. I was trying to explain people like it's not like right this is a silicone and this is what you do with it. I was trying to explain how it came about and how did it got into film,
Hmm.
and then from there taking it so you can understand the process and the information how this material, how we got to use it, and
Yeah,
why is
and what's
why,
its
yeah
yeah,
why
exactly. What's its purpose?
yeah what is its purpose
Hmm.
and why we prefer it compared to other products.
Other products, yeah.
And then I kind of finished my book with explaining how to become a makeup artist and kind of what is required from you on a set and what level of behavior is acceptable
Hmm.
on set. And
Hmm.
a lot of information in this book is schools don't teach you. Is everything what I experienced on my own skin and what I learned by working in the industry.
And that's so valuable. That is so valuable, honestly. Even as an actor, I was very lucky because the course that I did was very much pushing in that direction of, when you leave, what are you going to do when you leave? Are you going to make your own work? Are you going to start your own company? How can you be proactive? And they were great at encouraging us, really. But even so, I found myself in the industry feeling constantly like I was in a dark tunnel with my eyes closed, touching the walls to find out, where am I going
I
next?
still feel like that now.
Yeah, me too.
And I've
That's
been
what
in
I'm
the
saying.
industry from quite some time.
That's
Uh,
what I'm saying. So I think it's great that you've with everything that you've explained about the book, that you've given people who are starting out kind of like a kit, in a nutshell. How can you start? How can what are the first few steps that you can take, and then from there on to try and figure it out.
there are two. They, you will find in an industry that sometimes people are cliquey and they will not share. They will not give you advice. You
Yeah,
know, I was very lucky that the people who I met, they were willing to sharing their knowledge. They were willing to sharing so much with me. Like, you know, there's no money in the world to pay for that.
yeah,
And I done an awful lot of courses, and every year I try to keep up by training more and learning new things and staying on the top of my, keeping my skills in check. Um, how should I say that? What I tried to incorporate in a book. You might think that SFX books or makeup books, like, oh my God, they're so expensive, but you never realize that how long it took that author or that actor or that artist to get that information or to learn that skill about what is talking in this book.
yeah,
and
yeah,
and people should value this,
yeah.
because it takes a lot of time. It took us money to you know to pay for our kids. It took us money to train it you know
And it's an amazing thing to then want to share it with the next generation, to give them an easier or a slightly easier start than maybe what you had, because like you said, it was very difficult to even gather information when you started, and to find out
exactly.
where to even take your first steps within the industry. And that's great, and I really do hope that if there are any young people or anybody who's starting out listening to this, that they'll go and have a look and purchase your book and start from there. um, One other question, which I tend to ask all of my guests on this series, and I'll tell you why first. Basically, there is a reoccurring theme in these interviews, um, and that's the idea that young people shouldn't be pressured into choosing a path too early on, before they really know what they want to do. So I was wondering, what would be one thing that you would say to your younger self with regards to choosing a career path?
I would say, listen to your mom. Your mom knows best. I said, listen to your mom. I wish I listened to my mom. She's no longer with us now.
Mm,
So
sorry to hear
I
that.
wish I listened to her because she was so right. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It never does.
Yeah.
Um, Regarding makeup, I would say practice. Practice a lot and don't give up. No matter what anyone says to you, you know it. You might, and even if it does, if that makeup does, if you don't like it, if it doesn't look all right to you, there will be other people who like it. So continue doing it, continue practicing, and don't give up.
Yeah, that's really
And make sure you
important.
learn, and make sure you learn color theory.
Color theory. Amazing. Gabriela, thank you so much for your time. It is so valuable, and I am beyond grateful really for you sharing with me and then with our listeners all of your experiences and your journey. And there's something I think so valuable about us sharing our story and, speaking our truth, as people say nowadays, because I think, you listen to somebody talking about their story, and even if you may not 100% resonate with them, I think there is always something we can learn from somebody. And
You
like you
know,
said,
if I wouldn't have listened to my mom, the thing what I wanted to be, it was a waitress.
wow.
It's not that there's anything bad with being a waitress. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, no.
my uncle used to run a chain of restaurants, and I thought that his job is so amazing. And then my uncle said, "You're not cut out to be a waitress." And I said, "If you would work for any restaurant, the restaurant would shut down." it's a, it's a, with your type of, it's a, how fiery and short fuse you have, it's a, you will not. The waitress and waiting on people is definitely not for you. And he was right, and my mom was right.
Amazing. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that definitely, I said, definitely you must think like this, that you might know your parents, or think that you know your parents. Wow, you're 18, let's say you're 20, you know your parents from 20 years, but
Hmm.
in reality you know them probably from 15, who
Hmm.
was the earliest memory, but your parents know you all your life.
Yeah.
So your parents will know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that a lot of parents push their children hard. I push my children hard because my parents pushed me hard because they wanted me, they were working class and they wanted me to be better than them, to achieve more than they achieved. And now I want my kids to be better than me and to
Hmm.
achieve more than I achieved.
Mm.
I I don't really care what they choose to be. I just want them to be better than what we are.
Yeah. And I think that's how most of us work, isn't it? That's the mentality. We want to keep pushing forward.
I don't know, maybe it's the Romanian mentality, but
Could be, could be. But I think no, I think in general, I found that regardless of culture, that there is in the human condition, there is that wish to strive for more and to do more and to achieve more and um and I think that's an absolutely normal and understandable thing, to want more for your family. I've come to the end of my list of questions. So I'm just going to say again, I'm very grateful and thankful for your time. And I really appreciate, you sharing your story with us. And I found it extremely inspiring. So I can only hope that it's going to be the same for our listeners. And I'm pretty sure it will be.
well, I'm very happy that you chose to interview me. I think lots of times I think I'm so ordinary, you know, and that I must be boring because I
No.
do because I have my fingers dipped in so many waters and
Yeah.
I'm doing so many things sometimes that sometimes there's no time for having fun, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why I think that it must be boring for other people.
Not at all. Not at all. And as I think I've mentioned before, most of the guests I've had on here have been very similar to you in this one respect, which is they've got their fingers in, in loads of pies. um, and but that's everybody I talk to, they say the same thing. They say these skills are so important, and we can use them. We can there's transferable skills. I was speaking in one of my interviews with somebody who works in the voluntary sector, but he started off in theatre. He did like what is it called, community theatre and applied theatre, and that's what he started. And then through that he went into the voluntary sector. But he said, the knowledge I have from doing drama and acting and being on stage and being able to talk to people and being able to level with people, it's not something I could have learned anywhere else. And I've taken it with me, and it's very valuable, and I think of that every almost every day or whatever. I'm using those skills. So I think, if anything, that's what I'm it's something that's been revealed to me through these interviews, and it's something that I really want to share with the young people listening, which is, sometimes this idea that you've got to have one thing and you've got to be perfect at that one thing. I don't know whether that's realistic. I think really having this life experience and doing all of these things and all of these jobs and having all these skills that you've learned over the years can actually make life more interesting, and make you, I think, a rounder person. And that life experience, like you were saying earlier, is invaluable. There's not enough, there's not enough money in the world to pay for that experience, and how that makes, that completes you as a human being. So you are not boring in any way, don't worry. I find you and what you do fascinating, and I can't wait to work with you as an actor. I want you to make me into
Oh,
a
I can't
zombie or
wait to
something.
be on set with you. That would be so
Yeah.
amazing. You
Yeah.
know, um, I must say that in the late 90s, it was 96, I think, I studied with the great master Vasile Popnegrestianu. I was
Hmm.
his student. And at the time, because of the system was so corrupt, I didn't got into the art academy, and I don't regret it now. I don't regret it one bit. My mom was asked to bribe. My mom was asked to bribe back
Oh
then, and my
my.
mom refused. And that's when I realized that, I have to do something else than just art. I have to gather more skills and be good at other things than just art. But he used to say, Vasile Popnegrestian used to say to me that perfection doesn't exist, but then neither us if we don't search for it.
What was that? I couldn't hear, you got cut off a bit. So perfection doesn't exist, but
Neither us if we don't search for it.
yes, absolutely. It's true. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to have an aim, you have to
Yeah,
have
for sure. For sure.
something to look forward to look towards, to
Yeah.
aim to.
Like we were saying earlier, you've got to, you're striving for more.
Exactly.
Always, always. There's always, I used to have saying about great teachers. One of the teachers in my school, who was the head of the piano department, whenever there was a recital or something that I used to play at, we'd all go to her for feedback, even if she wasn't our teacher. She was just the head of the department. And it'd be like, so how was it? And she'd say, well, it was, this, that, and the other, but there's always room for more. There's always room for more improvement. And it's true, there is always room for more improvement. Whether or not we will ever attain that perfection, I guess probably more likely not. But it's good to have that standard and that bar.
At least you tried, even if it doesn't
Exactly.
come out right. At least you're pleased with yourself that, okay, I tried my
Exactly.
best. It is what it is.
Exactly. It's finding that, isn't it? It's finding that balance between not kind of like running yourself into the ground thinking it's not perfect, but also having something more to strive towards, finding that good balance.
Yes, exactly. And be be pleased with yourself on an emotional level. Don't let yourself down. That's it.
Yeah.
That's important, because it's how you let other people's down. They probably get over it. But if you let yourself down, it's harder to get over it, because then you're disappointed in yourself and your capabilities. So no, it's important that you do not let yourself down.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I really hope you've enjoyed this chat. I know I have, as I made it quite clear throughout the whole interview. I couldn't help it. I'm a big fan of Gabrielas. As always, keep your eyes peeled on our socials for more exciting stuff coming soon. Thank you very much for listening.